Recreation. There was a grant being sought for some additional help to complete the first phase of the Linwood Scenic Access Point. The first phase at this point, right? They've already started putting in a steel seawall, 400 foot, and they were trying to get some additional monies for that because of some contingencies in the grants that had already been awarded. And that is something they're continuing to work on. It was a little bit more delayed than we thought. Thought something was going to happen this month, but it got a little bit delayed. So there is also a GoFundMe that is going to be launched, and there's going to be matching dollars for anybody interested in contributing toward the development down there at the end of Linwood Road.
Scenic project.
So we might as well, as long as we're talking about that, we're not gonna make this a secret, but somebody stole the porta-john. That had been sitting there and was chained to the guardrail.
Ew.
So we saw no Smurf blood on the ground, so I say Sokoviak somehow come and picked it up. But they say they didn't, so I'll...
What about Cooley Construction, who did the
No.
project down there?
No, because they were complaining that they had to go to the bathroom in the shrubs, in the woods out by the water. So, or find the bathroom. So, they thought the bathroom was gonna be there, but when they got there to start work,
Yeah, it's been
it was
sitting there
gone.
forever.
It was sitting there.
Paid it along.
No, it's been gone for a month now. But anyhow, I spoke to Skoviak, we put a new one out there, a different one, and we chained it to the post. Their man that put the original in there said that you couldn't just slide that old one out. If they broke or cut the chain, they had to go lift it up over the top. So I don't think any kids stole it, because I never heard of any families with Smurfs.
So we're looking for a big guy with long arms.
Yeah.
The last time I seen it move, the Coast Guard blew it over with the airboat.
Yeah.
That's the last time I seen it.
We're out
But
there.
that was when it was out by the water.
No, it was right in the center of the fence there, in the middle of the parking lot.
Oh, yeah?
We moved it, it was small.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody was in it, and it wasn't, so.
Oh, there we go.
But anyhow, they did bring us out a different one. We are still paying for it and splitting it with Fraser Township. I'm waiting to see what the bill is. They said that the new one's gonna cost us $950. I said, no, I don't think so. So, just so you know.
If we're getting a new one, it should be handicap accessible, because that's one of the requirements for the Scenic Points Laboratory, to be handicap accessible. So if we're gonna pay for something now, don't be paying for something that's
Well,
antiquated.
handicap
60
accessible
days.
won't fit where that one's sitting. So,
I'm just telling you, it's required underneath the grant money. It's required, it has to be handicap accessible.
Well, it won't hurt to have another one, so.
Well, park's closed right now.
well, Miss Ogar now has decided she wants a bathroom out there.
They gotta get the grant money for it. Until then,
I'm talking about a real bathroom.
I know that.
And of course, I'm trying to get grant money to put a sewer line from Linwood Road north for 24 houses. And so she's working a little harder to get the grant out there, because now she wants us then to figure the bathroom as we're going up north Linwood Beach Road. So I said, have at her. I've been trying to get you to work on that grant money because we gotta put that sewer down the road.
Mhm.
It's gonna cost $1 million for those 24 houses. So, but it will give us a pumping station at the end for Pete's Beach
Peters Beach.
to put,
To be added.
to be added to it, so, just so you know, that's an update of that. So moving on, we're off in recreation, there's no hall report. Bills, can we approve the payroll, and then you guys are gonna look at the bill later, so I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
The only thing, yes,
Well,
yes, I'll second it.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano? Yes. Class?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes. All right, the bills. Somebody want to make a motion with that one exception?
Yeah, bills with the one exception of waste management
Yeah.
to be accepted.
And the changes to apply,
Changes for which one, I'm saying?
applied innovation.
Yes,
Yes.
and the changes of where the dollars come from for applied innovations.
Who's making it?
I'll make the motion. I don't Or he can make the motion. Charlie can make the motion. So we're changing innovations, where the money is coming out of. And we're changing,
We're not really,
Weiss's, we're not going
we're
to.
holding
We're holding
Weiss's.
Weiss's bill
For the
until we look
explanation.
at the agreement, the quote that they gave us to confirm apparently when it comes to spraying the Roundup, they use 6 batches of Roundup and they charge us $2.50 for each batch. I have to agree that I don't think that's what the quote was. The quote was to spray everything for one price, and
They dissected that.
I think they dissected it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't-
So I'll second that motion.
DeShano?
Yes.
Class?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Davison?
Yes?
Campbell?
Yes.
Okay, the building report. Any questions on the building report?
Just a clarification on the plumbing permits. We have 5 different plumbing permits here that are listed as South Linwood Beach Road. They're all sequential permit numbers. There's no address listed. But there's a little difference in price among the 5, so I was curious what that development was.
I just look at the address and the amount.
Okay, well, there's no address, that's why
Well,
I'm
I
asking.
mean, what they give me for an address.
Okay.
Am I assuming that it's the cabins?
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I just didn't
Yeah.
know for sure because it just says South Linwood Beach, so.
I would-
I would say you're right. That's probably the cabins.
Well, the interest is why is $50-$60 more. Storage building costs more because that's the only deviation.
I can go grab them.
Oh, no. One of them's probably handicap accessible because he was talking about that too.
Well, it could be, I don't know. She has the original permits, that's how she creates this, so,
Do you want them?
no. We'll accept the building
Yeah.
report? I'll accept,
Well, usually do it in communication.
okay. Obviously, we don't have a zoning administrator right now.
Did you get any citations issued? Because last month we talked about those are gonna get issued next
I
week.
got a couple written up, but we got a brand new sheriff as of about 4:30 this afternoon. So he was here, so I was talking to him about them. So,
New sheriff deputy?
yeah,
Okay.
to serve him.
Yeah, we didn't have one for a little while.
Yeah,
We
Mr.
have one on the
Judd,
road, but not one that works with us.
Judd was, has changed positions. So, we wrote this guy's name, Richardson. Richardson is this sheriff's last name. But we just met him at 4:30 this afternoon, so.
So
I'll make a
you're-
motion to accept
So
the
you're
communication.
sitting on a couple of citations for that reason? You have 2 written, you said?
Yeah, for him to deliver them.
So
He
2.
hand delivers them.
We have to get some of them delivered. Little Corner's got weeds on it, taller than the van sitting on the property. It looks like an absolute travesty. It's got vines growing out the roof. I mean, this has gotta get dealt with. I mean, it's absolutely abandoned vehicle. It's only been there for 4 years. It's not been plated. I mean, something's gotta happen. It's a year.
I'll make a motion to accept the communications.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Me, Charles.
Motion
Because it's
carried.
not that simple.
Public input. Anybody want to do public input? Hearing none, we'll move on. Unfinished business. So I guess.
Wait a minute, stop. Someone just said, is that me?
I mean, is that why I'm here? For public
If you were
input?
making a comment,
Yes.
that's what you would be doing. If you-
Yes, okay, now my.
That's what public input
You
is.
need to come up here and tell us your name and address.
My name is Heidi Zappaloo. The reason I'm here is for 111 Guy Street in Linwood. That's not my address, but I own the property since '95. I had recently also bought a property on Maple Street in Linwood. Now Maple Street has been neglected for years, and I understand that. There's only 4 parcels back there, and 2 of them are mine, but they're the ones directly in the middle. And I went there today to try, because the grass cutting needs to be done. And I've been back, and it started a long time, years. Don even had problems with Mark on the corner, but now they're both doing it to me. When I went there today, there was a car on each end of the road, and I don't know what to do about it. I filed this. I don't know if that's, you need it now. But I would just like maybe to have some no parking signs put up. Maybe a speed limit sign for the children, like she said. Just something to make it look like a road where they don't think it's their driveway. Other than that, I did call the police today too. And they don't acknowledge it as a road either, so I don't know what to do, because the Maple Street's landlocked if I can't get in. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention, and I put it on the paper.
Okay,
But, thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move on. So obviously, if you want this 1890 trash assessment discuss, you want to explain?
This resident has asked multiple times to have the trash assessment removed from the property, including, I believe, at the Board of Review, asking for it to be removed.
Right.
This was put on the property, I believe in 2020. This residence has never had trash cans to even utilize the trash pickup. And has always had a dumpster on site, which is obviously more expensive than trash cans. And that has been maintained for a number of years from what I've heard. This has been formally requested to have on the agenda so that we as a board could vote to remove that trash assessment. And it was asked in 2 separate meetings last month to have this put on the agenda again. So I wanted to make sure that it did get addressed and put on the agenda as requested by the constituent.
So while we're discussing this, this particular address has been given a copy of the ordinance on why it was put on the property. Because it's a residence, not a business. And that the ordinance speaks that it's supposed to be that all the residents get billed for it.
But are you talking about the 1987 ordinance?
I'm talking about this address.
No, are you talking about our ordinance from 1987?
Yes.
Okay, so according to our ordinance from 1987, no businesses in our township should have trash pickup, but they do. So we're obviously out of compliance in our own ordinance if we're allowing businesses to have trash pickup. There's also no specification for multi-units, and yet we have people kind of choosing how many trash cans they're going to have in their multi-units. So there's a lot of areas where we've been out of compliance with this. This is actually an industrial property, which means by way of our ordinance, still an industrial,
You can't do it.
we would not even have trash cans there if we were following our own ordinance. So this is something where an individual is being charged, they've raised a concern about this, there's never been trash cans on the property, we're charging for a service that they can't even take advantage
They don't
of
provide.
because they don't have the trash cans. and they don't desire it, they want to keep their dumpster. So we've removed it from other people for other reasons. I guess I just don't really understand why we are insisting on charging for trash pickup when that service is not being used.
Well, and it isn't a matter of whether it's used or not. We, as a township, have never provided a trash can, so it is extortion. If you're going to bill somebody a service and not provide it, what is it? So you can pay this bill, but you do not get a trash can, do you understand me? And we have done that for 4 years to that family, that is unethical.
But if he, and I realize he doesn't want a trash can, but if he came in and requested one, he could get one. I mean, it's not like he absolutely can't get
It's
one.
industrial
But
property.
I don't disagree. There are other commercial properties that are supposed to use a dumpster, but they prefer not to, so we've made the exception to give them the trash. So this can be removed, but it has to be approved by the board.
But that's
But that's not to say that he can't get a trash can. If he wants one, he could get one.
The day we started billing for trash, we should have provided the trash can. When I moved it, wait a moment, when I moved into this township, there was trash can delivered at the end of my driveway when I purchased that property. So if we're gonna put a trash assessment on somebody's property, give them a trash can.
Well, but I think part of the problem is that same property has a dwelling on it. I mean, most businesses that are industrial don't have a dwelling on it as well. So I think that's part of the problem.
Well,
But even still, even having a business that has a trash assessment on it as a commercial property, allowing them, making that exception to the ordinance to allow them to have a trash assessment is a violation of our own ordinance as provided to me. It says we do not provide trash pickup to commercial properties. So if you have a multi-dwelling, how does that work exactly? It's a commercial property, why are we allowing that trash assessment to be put on? It doesn't work.
Well,
We
I
don't
believe it
charge
goes- I
all
don't believe
the
it goes by the
assessments.
zoning. It goes by the tax classification, which in this case, it wouldn't matter because the zoning and the classification are industrial. But there's other commercially zoned properties that are, tax classification is residential.
And we don't always collect for the trash barrels. If there's a dumpster there and they call Republic and request the dumpster replaced with trash barrels, bins, they bill for the bins, not us on the taxes.
but we've had a few in this township since I've been on the board that we approved them to have trash bins versus dumpsters, and they pay us for it.
Yes, but I'm
And
just
then
saying.
we've chosen in some cases to build double trash assessments because people have 2 kitchens on their property.
Which begs the question of the multi-unit that we have, well, we have a couple of them right on M13, where they're choosing how many trash barrels they're gonna have, but they obviously have more kitchens than that. So,
We're not following it.
you know, we just need to be consistent in how this is being addressed.
If there's 8 kitchens on a parcel, then there's supposed to be 8 assessments, according to the logic used last fall on 2 different pieces of real estate. In November, that was the logic we used.
So we're getting off the subject
No.
of the trash assessment at 1890.
So I make a motion that we credit them,
What are you gonna do? If we take the trash assessment off, we would be taking it off from 1920, or 2020, right?
If that's
and we go,
If that's the motion for 2020.
to go back to 2020, we would remove it, is what you're saying. So we would issue a credit for the 4 years of non-provided trash. It will not be on their bill assessed this year.
Going forward.
So,
Now, just this year or going
Just
forward?
period.
Because that's gonna be on the winter assessment.
Correct.
So we would take it off for this year's winter
Just-
assessment. Well, it wasn't that much every time.
And from today forward.
You know what?
We don't need a dollar amount.
Okay.
Well,
But,
the dollar amount might not have been the same back in.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
we don't need a dollar
Because we have
amount, we
enough.
just need a, so you got the motion?
Credit the address back For 4 years, that's non-provided, trash cans were non-provided, and then removed from the taxes going forward.
Yep.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Are we gonna issue them a check back then
They haven't paid the tax.
for the last 4 years?
No. I know have they paid for the 4 years back?
Well, they pay for it every year on their taxes, so yeah.
Don't have a choice, or we repossess the house.
I don't think he's paid the last couple of years that he's been here.
I believe he said just 1 year.
All right,
So
so
that'd be,
Because
we'll
he was
reimburse him for the
protesting.
years he's paid for.
correct.
But then that's gonna have to be fixed with the county if it's still on there from 23, because it would have
No,
been.
the charge stays here, it doesn't go to the
Okay.
county.
So we'll reimburse him for the times he has paid then. You'll amend your motion to that effect?
We will reimburse him up to 4 years for the times he's paid for a trash assessment, and we will remove it from future tax rolls.
Glass,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
Okay, new business. We had a meeting and we spoke of the applicants for building inspector. What I'm asking for here though is the approval to approach, I would prefer Mr. Newman.
Can I make a motion?
Well,
Well, I just want to explain that we can't accept him until he accepts.
Correct.
So I'd like to make a motion to approach Mr. Newman because of his qualifications on the applications and that. And we discuss what we are paying our temporary. And that would be what I would consider to offer him as pay. Obviously, we all know that our zoning administrator has decided to retire, and what I'd like to do is try the building inspector and the zoning inspector to be the same person, and approach Mr. Newman that if for any reason this doesn't work out, we would probably take the zoning away from him and give it to somebody else. We would probably have to decide that we did some kind of monthly pay for the zoning part, but
we would have a separate time to sit down with him if he accepts entering negotiations with us, so we can hammer something out as a group.
I don't, from what the other building inspectors I've talked to, this thing, the payment for the building inspector that we're offering, that we're paying our temporary right now, is pretty common throughout Bay County anyhow.
Well, that very well may be, but if you're also approaching him about the zoning administrator, which I'm fine with, that's a whole different animal in how that would be compensated. And if we as a board don't have a meeting of the minds on what we're open to negotiate with him, that's a little problematic. So my question is, if we vote today to approach him and ask him to enter negotiations with us for this position, are we going to have a follow-up meeting at which time we as a board can kind of talk about exactly how we want this to work out with him?
Well, we know how much we paid the previous zoning administrator, so I would recommend somewhere around half of that, or maybe $500 a month. And if he accepts it, in my opinion, that's considerable savings. I don't know.
This gentleman has a doctorate, so I'm a little unsure as.
Well, if he doesn't accept it, then yes, I'd have to
Yeah.
come back here or see what he would accept and then bring it back to the board. I'm just looking for something to approach him with.
Well, I would definitely approach him as being our building inspector, and I would approach him as being, well, it's in negotiation. Well, right now that we have no building inspector, and I was asked today why a said individual out on a specific road is building a home, but our inspector hasn't been by that home.